Welcome to Symbols and Cynicism, a podcast where we talk about all the things I love, some of the things I hate, in this wacky adventure we call life. My name is Bob, I'm your host, and I'm glad you're here today as we talk about Star Wars, what's on the grill, something neat with Matt, and garage sale traffic. Let's get started. Welcome back. First question, did you do the homework? Did you take a walk without technology? I did. The weather was beautiful this week where I live. It was a glorious walk. I also took a couple of bike rides, did a little bit of running, and just enjoyed my time in the beautiful weather. From the Department of Errors this week, no mistakes, apparently, or at least none that we noticed or that anyone pointed out to us. We did get a lot of feedback this week. One fan writes, I am literally laughing out loud as I drive away from band camp, listening to you talk about Finale as the old girlfriend who broke your heart. I guess it's time to check out Dorico. Yes, glad you're laughing. We all need the occasional post-band camp laugh. And yes, you should switch to Dorico in my opinion. It should be noted that Dorico is not yet a sponsor of this podcast. But look, haven't we all been forced to switch, make a software change that we weren't looking to make? It does really feel like a breakup, at least to me. Tell me we're all right, Sens. This makes me want to listen to drum corps. Yes, go listen to drum corps, or better yet, watch some drum corps on YouTube, plenty available. It's a visual medium. It's a lot more fun to watch, in my opinion. Another fan writes, dude, I love listening to your voice. Really? I'm so self-conscious of my voice, but I'm glad at least someone enjoys it. I can tell you that editing this podcast is not my favorite part of the week. We've also received some questions about supporting the show. First, tell your friends, share a link, like the podcast on your app, give us a great rating, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep listening. These are free ways that you can help us grow because the more you watch, the better the rating we have, the more subscriptions we get. The algorithms tell those apps to put us at the top of lists and be early on search engines. And we appreciate that. And it's free. Number two, if you want to financially support the show, we certainly appreciate that. There is a link at the bottom of the description where you can make a donation. That donation will go directly to help pay for the hosting costs, new recording and editing equipment, and help us make the show better. In the last week, we have blown way past 500 downloads. It is so humbling to see these stats every day. I appreciate you so much for listening. Thank you, and I hope that you become a regular part of our week. New this past week was a video-only midweek mini-pod. Those mini-pods will be found exclusively on my YouTube channel, which you can find Robert H. Sloan, RHS Music. No dash, no hyphens, no periods, no spaces. Subscribe and get updates on the newest material. Mini-pods won't be every week, or maybe they will be. I don't really know. It's a new thing we tried. Seems successful. Check it out. On today's episode, Star Wars and lots of Star Wars. Also, what's on the smoker? Matt is back with something neat and garage sale traffic. We got a lot to do today, so let's get going. On today's podcast, let's get into Star Wars. If there's something that I love more than drum corps, it's probably Star Wars. And maybe I only love it more because it's always Star Wars season, and drum corps really is only relevant in the summer. Or maybe I love Star Wars because more people love Star Wars and it's easier to talk about with more people. But maybe I love it more because of laser swords and space wizards. Space battles, classic good versus evil plot twists, story arcs, redemption stories, family drama, satisfying three-part storytelling on a large and small scale, blurred lines of good and evil. I could go on. Let's face it, what's not to love? What's not to love? Well, actually, there's a lot. Sometimes the dialogue is awful. Sometimes the acting is worse. Force users that forget they have the Force, what's up with that? Choppy storytelling at times. The Christmas special, the Ewok movies, Jar Jar. How about the toxic fandom? See my rant from last episode about people who complain about drum corps? Star Wars might be worse. People that just hate everything. Look, Star Wars is not perfect, far from it. But the main reason I love Star Wars goes beyond I love it just because I love it. It's that it makes me feel like a kid again. I was born in 1974 in a world with no Star Wars, but A New Hope came out in 1977, and I remember having Star Wars toys. I remember seeing Return of the Jedi in the theater. I remember being shocked that he was Luke's father. I remember talking Star Wars on the monkey bars at recess and being super bummed when it was time to go back to class because I didn't want to learn about spelling. I could already spell Star Wars, and that's all I really needed. Why do I love Star Wars? Because watching it and talking about it makes me feel like a kid again. Have I watched all the movies? Of course. Have I watched all of the shows? Of course. Have I read all the novels? No, not all of the novels. There are like 200, but I have read several. Comics, I've never been in so much into the comics. I've never been a comic book guy of any kind, really. There's a lot to love and hate about Star Wars, so let's get it going. First, some ground rules. Number one, I hate spoilers. I promise that if a Star Wars plot is on a show or movie from within the last 3 months, I will not spoil it for you at all. If it is between 3 to 6 months, I will announce a spoiler alert, then you can jump ahead. If it's older than 6 months, too bad, no warnings. If you don't already know that Vader is Luke's father, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying spoiler alert for a plot point on a 50-year-old movie. Number two, I hate the toxic fandom. I won't tell you that every Star Wars character in every movie and every show is great, but this is not going to be a place where we smash on Star Wars every episode. Honesty, sure, but not hate. Number three, let's face it, Star Wars is like pizza. Even bad pizza is still better than most other foods. But if you hate Attack of the Clones, then why do you watch it? The same reason I eat frozen pizza. It's not great, but it's still pizza. And Attack of the Clones is still Star Wars. So how about some Star Wars for the beginners? If you're a veteran Star Wars lover, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. Star Wars is the brainchild of George Lucas, who wrote and directed A New Hope, commonly referred to as Episode 4. Episode 4 became the first part of the trilogy of movies that also included The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. These three movies constitute what we refer to as the original trilogy, or episodes 4, 5, and 6. And they were always episodes 4, 5, and 6. That was always the plan. Why did George Lucas not start with episode 1? Well, that's a long story for another day. Let's just leave it at he started with episode 4 and move on from there. About 20 years later, he did go back and tell the stories of episode 1, 2, and 3 in movies we refer to as the prequel trilogy. And more recently, we have the sequel trilogy, which is episodes 7, 8, and 9. These 9 movies essentially tell the story of the Skywalker family through 3 generations. Anakin is the main character of the prequels, who grows up to have twins Luke and Leia, who are the main characters in the original trilogy, who then grow up to be old people who had their own kids in the sequel trilogy. Star Wars veterans, if you're listening right now, don't yell at me. I'm summarizing, okay? Summarizing. Along the way, the Jedi, the good guys, battle the Empire, or some form of the Empire, as the bad guys for control of the galaxy. As it says in the opening crawl of A New Hope, this all takes place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Interesting dichotomy there, don't you think? Because for being a long time ago, they have a ton of advanced technology, it's also a galaxy far, far away. Inspiration for all of these stories is a combination of Greek tragedy, World War II movies, samurai, westerns. One of the great things about it is that it all feels very familiar. Let's clear this up. Star Wars is not science fiction. It is a space opera. Sci-fi, by nature, is a picture of the future that potentially could happen because it's based on some form of reality and actual science. No one has ever, I hope, suggested that Star Wars can actually happen. Furthermore, sci-fi takes place in the future, and Star Wars takes place a long time ago. In addition to the 9 movies, there are lots of recent spin-off movies that tell tangential stories, and also TV and streaming series that do the same, or they fill in the gaps. This media fills in the gaps and tells the deeper stories. Let's get one thing straight. In my opinion, the long-form Star Wars is the best Star Wars. Why? Well, for one thing, a movie focuses on a limited number of events during a very limited amount of time. A New Hope, for instance, spans only about a 7-day period of time and basically covers the events leading up to one large battle. Covering 7 days in a movie doesn't really allow for depth of story. The Clone Wars animated series, on the other hand, covers a 3-year period of time, lots of events, because it had 7 seasons totaling 133 episodes and would take approximately 2.5 days to watch consecutively. Binge on that. And no, I've never watched it consecutively. Long-form storytelling allows for more development, more familiarity, and more depth. Look, I love the movies, but I love the long form better. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's step back. There are also hundreds of novels and uncountable comic books. Here we're going to focus mainly on the visual media of movies and TV and streaming, though I do love the books. We might do a little bit of the books here or there because I think many of them really help tell the story and extend characters and arcs and fill in a lot of the gaps. No matter how you consume your Star Wars is great. At its core, it's the age-old battle of good versus evil. And we can all easily grasp the concept of good versus evil. It's easy to tell. The bad guys wear the black and the good guys wear the white. But wait, what? Why are the bad guy stormtroopers wearing white? Hold on, Luke is in black? Stay tuned for all that. It's a bumpy ride. But hey, there are laser swords along the way, so what else can go wrong? What's on the smoker? What's on the smoker this week is a super easy answer, no thought involved. It is a brisket. It's DCI finals week, and on Saturday, it is tradition that I'll have over some of my friends, and we eat brisket and watch drum corps. Saturday is the 12th annual Brisket and Brass, sponsored by RHS Music. Brisket is an intimidating cook. It's an expensive meat, and it takes a long time. Messing it up comes at a high cost of both time and money. First time I did a brisket, first 6 times I did a brisket, Pizza Hut was definitely on speed dial. I do my brisket what is mostly considered Texas style. I trim it tight, removing almost all of the fat, season it using only salt and pepper, plus I use a little Worcestershire, that sauce that starts with a W and ends with ire. I let it sit overnight in Tupperware. I start to smoke nice and early, probably around 4 a.m., because this is about a 10-hour cook. I put my brisket on fat side up at about 225 degrees. When it reaches an internal temp of 165, I wrap it in butcher paper. Sometimes I put a little more pepper on. I like my brisket really peppery. My finished temp is around 210. Anything above 200, but if I can get it to 210, life is really, really good. They say to let it sit for an hour. To be honest with you, I'm not that patient. I try to let it go 45 minutes. Sometimes I only make it 30. And once unwrapped, I drizzle the juice back over the top and let it sit for another few minutes. For a full recipe of my brisket, look up Meat Church on YouTube. Matt at Meat Church is my go-to for smoking recipes and processes. He's never steered me wrong. So when I say my recipe, it's actually Matt Pittman's recipe. Sides this weekend are smoked mac and cheese or maybe smoked queso over seasoned waffle fries. I haven't quite decided the full menu yet. Both are solid choices. In my opinion, with a substantial piece of meat like a brisket, you have to have some substantial sides as well. Brisket and drum corps. Show me a better night than that. Brisket is one of my favorite barbecue meals, and I'm really looking forward to the cook this weekend. I love a long, slow cook. Checking and spritzing all day doesn't bother me at all. I love it. Enjoy whatever you're cooking this weekend, and I'll enjoy mine. Back to Star Wars. Let's discuss some of my favorites. Sure, that sounds easy. Hey, what's your favorite Star Wars? It's not so easy. To be honest with you, if you asked me for my top 10 list, there would probably be more like 25 things on that list. But we're going to give it a shot anyway. Let's start with movie. That one is an easy one. The Empire Strikes Back. For me, this movie is everything. It's the first movie that I remember. In my opinion, it's the perfect Star Wars. Yoda enters the chat. It's the first Luke versus Vader fight. It's I am your father. It's a cliffhanger ending. It's great, and to me, it's really where Star Wars defined itself. A New Hope is obviously the beginning, and we meet the characters, and it's a great battle, and it's a fine movie, but I'm not sure Star Wars really knew who it was until Empire Strikes Back. It was still finding itself. Now, it knows who it is. Sort of like a podcast where the first couple episodes, the sound doesn't sound so great and the cuts, the edits are kind of wonky. By Empire, it knows who it is and it knows where it's going. A New Hope was guessing at the answers while an Empire Strikes Back understands the assignment. By the way, my second favorite is Rogue One. Favorite show, easy again, Clone Wars, the animated series. Rebels, by the way, is a super close second, and yes, I'm a lover of animated Star Wars. We'll go into that in another episode, but I'm going with Clone Wars simply because there's more of it. If you aren't familiar with the Clone Wars animated series, it fills in the gap between the prequels movie Episode 2 and Episode 3, and overlaps quite a bit with Episode 3. If you've ever watched the prequels and thought, wow, Anakin's turn to the dark side happened super fast. Remember, a movie only covers a few days worth of story. Watch the Clone Wars animated series and it's a much more gradual turn because you watch it happen over a story that takes years to tell. You see the ups and the downs. It's very, very cool. We'll get way more into this series later, but for now, it's my favorite Star Wars. Jedi, oh boy, here is where it gets tricky. Look, I love Yoda, and he's probably the easy answer. But if you watch enough Star Wars, he misses a lot of stuff. Why didn't he do more to save Anakin? Why didn't he sense Lord Sidious? Heck, they were on the same planet like all the time. Sure, he is wise and powerful, but I don't know, man. I think my favorite is Ahsoka. Yes, true, she left the Order, but she left the Order at a time when she felt the Order no longer stood for the right ideals and that it had lost its way. If you follow her story afterward, while she was not officially a Jedi, she sure did act in a way that was still peak Jedi, in a way that upholds the true Jedi beliefs and not what the Jedi had become. Yoda, awesome. Ahsoka, awesomer, and I'm looking forward to season 2 of her show. Favorite villain. I'm dividing this into two categories, Force villain and non-Force villain. My favorite Force villain, and this may surprise some of you, is Darth Maul. I love that Maul is not only super totally awesome with his lightsaber and super powerful in the Force, he is also super smart and calculating. Sure, at times he lets his hatred and revenge take over, but in between those plans, he is completely calculating and thoughtful. And rarely does he trick his opponent. He tells you exactly the truth most of the time. There's rarely a deceit involved. If you've only ever watched the movies, you don't know much about Maul, and you might be surprised that I picked him because he's only in like 5 or 10 minutes of episode 1, mostly just to get killed in a really cool way. Watch the Clone Wars animated and Rebels. Plenty of Maul and awesome Maul. Second place Force villain is obviously Darth Vader. Favorite non-Force villain is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn never appears in a movie, or at least not yet. Thrawn, I think, first appeared in the animated Rebels series, or at least that's when I first met him. He's also in the Ahsoka Series 1 near the end, and I think he'll be more prominent in Season 2. If you really want to learn about Thrawn, you need to read the Timothy Zahn books. Thrawn is a hyper-intelligent, super analytical, very strategic villain with an extremely high sense of intuition. Thrawn is almost never wrong. I love pretty much everything about Thrawn. My second favorite non-Force villain is Cad Bane. Favorite story arc? I'll take the Clone Wars Season 7 last 4 episodes. To me, this is the heart of the Star Wars saga. It takes place during the same time as Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but is told from a different angle. They do incorporate mentions of events from Revenge of the Sith without actually showing them. For instance, Obi-Wan taking down Grievous, Anakin's fall, Order 66. But it is told from Ahsoka's point of view as she is in a battle on Mandalore of her own. The arc has one of my favorite all-time lightsaber battles. The Order 66 stuff is far more heart-wrenching than in the movie, and the end of the 4th episode, which is also the end of the series, by the way, is just outstanding storytelling. The emotion, the music, the camera angles. I might go watch it right now. If I could only have one story for the rest of my life, I'll take that one. Honorable mention, by the way, to Rogue One and by extension the Andor series. I think all of this is an amazing storytelling in a situation where you know everyone dies. You absolutely know that no one makes it. I think a lot of people don't like it because there are no lightsabers. But for me, it's brilliant in its description of how a fascist regime like the Empire takes over gradually and without most people even noticing. Plus, they blow up a lot of stuff, and Mon Mothma going from secret spy to outright rebel leader is an amazing transformation. Okay, favorite quickies. Favorite ship, the Millennium Falcon. Favorite droid, Chopper. Favorite non-Force character, Chewbacca. Favorite bounty hunter, Cad Bane. Favorite funny character, Hondo Ohnaka. Favorite non-character, Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy. They lead the Star Wars universe in what might be the best thing to ever happen to Star Wars. Dave Filoni, in particular, is an American treasure. Favorite scene? I get this a lot. What's your favorite Star Wars scene? Well, I didn't count it up, but there must be about 1 million scenes in all of Star Wars visual media. So here are my quick top 10 in no particular order. The last scene of the Clone Wars animated series. Vader at the end of Rogue One in the hallway. The Sith Temple scene from the end of Rebels Season 2. Luke versus Vader on Cloud City. Live action Thrawn in Ahsoka. Kenobi versus Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi the series. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Maul in Phantom Menace. Chopper murdering anyone, anytime. The World Between Worlds scene from Rebels. Yoda passing into the Force. Ahsoka versus Maul on Mandalore, and yes, I know that there were 11 scenes in my top 10. I could go on all day about my favorites, and we'll certainly get into this more over time, I am sure. But for now, that's my favorite from the Star Wars universe. May the Force be with you. Comment on your podcast app and tell us what some of your favorites are. Welcome to Something Neat with Matt, our every couple of episode section of the podcast where we invite Matt in to talk about bourbon and other things. So, Matt, how are we doing today?
Hi, Bob.
A man of many words.
Really... There's a TV series for all mankind, and there's an entire episode that's just called Hi, Bob.
Well, maybe that'll be the title of this episode. It'll just be
Hi, Bob.
called Hi, Bob. You met Matt a couple episodes ago. On episode 2, he was in talking all about the way they make bourbon, and we had some Wild Turkey 101 that night. We talked a lot about him and his history, and we're kind of skip past all that because he's back and we know him. So we're here to talk bourbon and Star Wars today. Let me ask you, do you remember, like, you're 31, so your first bourbon maybe was a little while ago. What was your first bourbon you ever tasted? Do you remember?
The first one I ever actually tried was Woodford Reserve, and I absolutely hated it. It was terrible. I don't even think I finished it. I think I took a sip, and I was like, this is terrible. I'm never going to drink this again.
Well, do you remember the first one you liked?
Woodford Reserve.
Woodford Reserve. 4 years later.
Double oaked.
I don't remember what my first one was. I have another friend, his name's Dan, and he always would bring bourbon to a gathering of band directors that we used to have, and he was like, gotta try this one, and it just tasted like battery acid. Until the first one I ever liked was a Four Roses, like probably a small batch or something, and I went, oh. It took years. I mean, this is year after year after year of trying this bourbon. It's just like, I just can't stand this stuff. And the Four Roses, and that was the only thing I bought for a while. And then I got in Larceny was the second one I like, and so then then on from there. So, well, last time was Wild Turkey 101. We liked that. I would buy that again. I think that was my first Wild Turkey. What are we drinking today? This is a favorite of mine. This is top of my list. Go to purchase every time.
This is good, and quite honestly, this is probably the best one to use for an old fashioned. It's the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. And it is exactly what it is. It's their regular straight bourbon whiskey, just aged again. They take it out of one barrel, put it in the next barrel, and they age it for the same amount of time.
And the second barrel is also new, right?
Yes,
it's a brand new barrel, so it's double oaked.
It's
literally
double oaked.
They really thought through that. They really thought through that name.
I'll bring another one sometime later. It's double oaked. That's a little bit out of some people's price range. This one, the double oaked, it's between $55 and $65. If you have a Costco membership, it's $48. You can go stock up. They have a couple pallets. Haven't bought a pallet yet, but I thought about it.
You have to buy it by the 75-gallon barrel.
Yeah, I wish. It's got a handle on it.
Fill up your bathtub. How would you describe the taste? Caramely, spicy.
So I'm going to read from. So I use an app called Distiller. And every single bourbon or whiskey, whatever your liquor of choice is, they have expert notes. So I'm going to read the expert notes, and then I'll tell you what I think, because I'm the expert apparently.
Yeah, you are.
So
on this podcast,
from Amanda Schuster, the classic Woodford flavors are there: cherry, pumpernickel, vanilla, caramel, leather, and sweet spice. There's an additional sweet bread quality to this one, with some pleasant citrus, like a lemon poppy seed muffin. Very rich and complex. If anything, this tastes like classic Woodford, but more spruced up in a good way.
There's a reason I don't write for that app, because I would say, this is good.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't taste leather.
I think it tastes like maple syrup. And honestly, the secret to it, and if you ever go to Woodford, I would highly encourage you to do.
Well, we went there together.
I know, but I'm talking to the listeners. Calm down for a second. So if you ever go down to Woodford, I would highly encourage doing the tasting, because they pair
awesome.
They pair each whiskey with a little snack, a little piece of food. And the one that they paired with this was a butterscotch chip. So I now have a bag of butterscotch chips next to the double oaked. And when you eat some of the butterscotch chips and drink some of the double oaked, it is like drinking syrup.
Reese Pieces work too.
Oh, I'll have to try that.
Reese's Pieces, awesome.
Okay.
Peanut butter and butterscotch, kind of in that same
it fits.
Same category of category of taste. I know you're a Woodford fan. I think that's one of my go-tos too. I think if there was a distillery, I could that's the top of my list. I love Woodford. I loved the atmosphere.
Yes.
When we visited a couple of distilleries, there are a lot of them. We did Buffalo Trace and Heaven Hill and Woodford, right? When we went last year, and they're all different. Woodford's like a country club. I mean,
is.
it is just immaculate, and the fencing and all. I mean, it is just spectacular.
The thing that I like the most about them is especially their bottles. Like all of their bottles, with the exception of the double oaked and a couple of their specialty items, they're all exactly the same. They all have a very minimalistic design, very professional. And I think that their distillery, while still rustic, also holds up to that sort of minimalistic, sleek design. So it's just visually pleasing to me too.
Yeah, the bottles they're all very classic, simple, minimalist, classic design. Yeah, you know a Woodford, a lot of brands, right? But you know a Woodford bottle when you see one. It's got that high skinny neck and the broad shoulders that kind of come around.
Yep.
What do you find most interesting about? Is there anything interesting, specific history of the brand, et cetera, that you found over the years?
I love statistics. And it's not necessarily a history of Woodford, but when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, you know, they're the main sponsor for the Kentucky Derby, and the amount of bourbon that they go through at the Kentucky Derby, and I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's like 40,000 bottles of bourbon that they go through during the Kentucky Derby, and maybe sometime in my life I'll go through that many bottles of double oak, but
I hope not.
If I do, I might need to go to a few meetings.
Well, you make bourbons in a mint julep.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, that's the drink of the Kentucky Derby. Yep, exactly. I think the other thing I like, or I find interesting about Woodford, they don't really have a lot of brands under the Woodford name. I mean, you look at Buffalo Trace, and there's just all these different names and things that they've, I mean, Woodford, I mean, how many different Woodfords are there?
There is, oh boy, there's the straight bourbon, there is the rye, the malted, and the double oaked, and they have a wheated. So it's, I mean, it's
very, very few. I mean, it's just, this is who we are. They know who they are. In my opinion, I kind of think in like the tech world, Woodford to me seems like Apple.
Yes.
They know who they are. They know what their products look like. They know how their products feel. This is what we do, and this is what we look like. It's not a lot of extra flash and glitz and glimmer and a lot of other stuff. It's just we're going to do what we do, and we're going to kick butt at doing it. Yeah. And double oak. I didn't even need you to walk in here and have me taste it. I know I love it because it's one of my top go tos. You want to talk about Star Wars?
Yeah.
This episode's mostly about Star Wars. So, all right. Like everybody knows, if you've been listening to the cast, I'm a nerd, a Star Wars geek. I've watched it all. I've read it all. I never read it all. There's like 90 million novels. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you don't even know who Luke's father is, and 10 being you are aware that there is an evil clone of Luke Skywalker, where would you put yourself on the continuum of like Star Wars baby to Star Wars expert?
Oh boy. He has an evil clone?
He has an evil clone, yeah.
Okay.
You got to read
so
the
obviously not a 10.
You're obviously not a 10.
We'll cross that off the list. I would say probably a pretty strong 6.
Okay.
See,
that's impressive.
I'm a purist though. Like when I sit down and watch the movies, I'll watch 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And really, I may get into 7, 8, and 9. But man, especially the original trilogy, like that's it.
You don't do a lot of the TV and animated stuff, do you? Like the shows?
I've tried, but I have the attention span of a gnat, so.
That's fair. There is an evil clone. He's in one of the books, Heir of the Empire, I think maybe, or something like that. But, so the name of the clone is Luke Skywalker, but it's spelled with 2 U's, Luuke.
Naturally.
Yeah. It's cloned by a Sith Lord, fallen Jedi guy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so what's your favorite movie?
This may be controversial. I'm going to have to say probably Episode 3. There's enough stuff in there. Spoiler alert, that's when you finally see the whole transformation of Darth Vader.
Well, the movie's like 20 years old, so I don't think we're spoiling too much of anything.
Well, Isla's never seen it.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, she may be listening to this podcast.
She's waiting for Uncle Bob.
Right, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say Episode 3. It's got some good stuff in there.
Okay. All right. I don't know about controversial, but probably uncommon answer. I think.
Well,
maybe not.
You know me.
It's up there. Certainly of the prequel, that's my favorite one of the prequel. What about favorite character?
I would say probably Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Classic.
Because he's always the calm, cool, collected guy. That, I mean, to me, he's like dad in the entire series. That he's always there watching after somebody. He's always making the right decisions. Yeah, he's probably my favorite.
So then obviously he would also be your favorite Jedi.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of skip that.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good at that too.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. What about favorite villain?
I don't know that he's really a villain, but he's portrayed as a villain. I kind of like Sebulba from episode 1, the pod racing guy. I mean, and it's racing, so I like.
You like NASCAR?
He's like the Dale Earnhardt of Star Wars.
if you ain't rubbing, you're not pod racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't rub while I'm pod racing. They tried that and it didn't work very well.
Do you have a least favorite character or like character you love to hate?
The only reason I hate him is because that sounds drastic. The only reason I hate him is because I haven't quite figured out who he is, and I would if I'm a freak like you and read all the books.
Fair.
I don't like Snoke. Like, he's just, like, he comes out of nowhere. Who is this guy? Like, destroying the entire universe and screwing up all the movies. I don't like him. And I know that I would probably like him if I found out who he is and all of that stuff, but I'm not going to. So.
No, I think a lot of the fandom would probably agree with you.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel good.
On a lot of those things. Haven't read enough of the books to know really who Snoke is beyond what's in the movies, so he's probably one of the... He's like in comic, but I don't do the comic books. Okay. That's way too much for me. So maybe he's in a bunch of those. And somebody will leave a comment and tell us exactly who Snoke is and spoil it for everybody. Go ahead and leave us a comment. Who is Snoke? Okay, what about... Do you have a favorite Star Wars scene? That's a hard one to come up with.
That is a hard one to come up with because there's so many really good scenes. I think everybody listening right now is probably thinking that I'm going to say when Obi-Wan and Anakin duel it out in Mustafar at the end of Episode 3.
Well, if Episode 3 is your favorite movie, then that would correlate as to being one of your favorite scenes.
But it's not.
Oh, fair enough.
It's not. I mean, it's good, but it's not a favorite scene. I would say, now, especially being a new father, Isla doesn't talk yet. But I see this playing out in our future. It's, I don't even remember what episode it's in, but I remember the scene because every time I see it, I laugh. But it's when Luke is asking Yoda all kinds of questions. And Yoda just gets tired of it and decides to roll over and die. Yeah. Like, you know what? Yoda, you've lived 800 years and this guy finally cracked you. Like, it's pretty impressive.
Return of the Jedi when he goes back and to complete his training, but as the father of a 17-year-old who was once a 3-year-old, you will definitely want to roll over and die with why daddy. Hey Matt, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for the bourbon and the Star Wars chat. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm still around.
No, green. Find your happy place.
It's time for the rant of the week. Garage sale traffic. Around here, it is 127 garage sale time. The largest garage sale in the history of the universe or whatever. It's all along US 127 from like Alabama to the Antarctic. I don't know. North Pole, I think Santa maybe. I don't know. Here's a fun fact. Garage sailors, traffic laws apply to you. Here's another fun fact. Pay attention to the road. And a third fun fact, not all of us are inexplicably slowing down to 1 mile per hour to see if this garage sale has the perfect deal on that piece of junk you're looking for. I don't garage sale. My wife doesn't garage sale. And it doesn't bother me that you do. It bothers me that you make sudden stops, that you triple park on a one-way street, and leave your car door open while you try to fit that armoire into the back seat of a Dodge Neon. You want to talk about distracted driving? Garage sale traffic is a menace. Be courteous. For the love of God, drive safe, not only for you, but for us. I feel better. You feel better? I feel better. Until I go drive to work and have to drive through garage sale traffic. Homework this week. Watch some Star Wars. Watch something you haven't watched yet. If you've never watched any Star Wars, then watch A New Hope Episode 4. Now look, it's an older movie, so watch it expecting an older movie, even though you will be watching a remastered version, so that helps a little bit. But pacing and plot and effects, still kind of old-fashioned. But it does introduce you to all the characters, all of the music, and gives you a really good base start into Star Wars. If you've only seen the movies, try an episode from a series. I suggest the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It does start a little bit slow, but it's characters you already know, and it's a great story. If you've seen all the Star Wars, like me, go rewatch Rebels Season 2, Episodes 21 and 22, The Twilight of the Apprentice, Parts 1 and 2. Truly a great hour of Star Wars. What made me think of that is a recent conversation about those two very episodes, and I went back and watched them, and just amazing storytelling and some really cool surprise appearances. Okay, that's the show today. Make sure you leave a rating, drop a comment, or send a message on the app of your choice. Ratings do help us get noticed. Constructive comments and messages help us make the show better. You can text the show with a link at the bottom of the description. We hope you'll join us next time as we discuss high school marching band, running with a special guest, and why acronyms matter. Thanks for joining me today. The theme music is Superfly, written by me, copyright RHS Music. The show logo was designed by John Suh. This show is produced by my sister, Kathy. I hope you'll join us next time for more reflections and ranting on symbols and cynicism.